Hello crochet friends and welcome back. We're working on our Thanksgiving wreath here and I finished with my cover here. How did you do? I really did end up doing 115 rows. I just threw that number out there as a guess and it does seem to fit. So just make sure that it fits all the way around your foam, okay? That's our goal here. We want it to fit all the way around it. So when you are done and you're at the end and you have your proper length, we're going to pull up our hook here and we are going to cut off our yarn, but we want a long tail because we need to sew this, right? So I mean, if you've been with me before for projects, I tend to make a tail that's ridiculously long because I'm so afraid of running out of yarn. So, you know, if you run out, it's not the end of the world as the way I feel that it is. I mean, you can just add on. I mean, because we're just sewing this. So we're just going to make our knot here on the end of our project. And then we're going to get our yarn needle and we're going to sew this together. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so knot off this last stitch that you made. Okay, and then just take your yarn, find the end, and we're going to thread our yarn needle. So yarn needles are great. If they have that nice big eye on it, you can get your yarn through nice and easy. Okay, so we're going to take our project and the first thing we want to do, it's the same on both sides. I mean, you can pick either side because we are flipping it back and forth. So it doesn't matter as long as we get end to end here. So we have our two ends and a lot of tail. And we are going to sew these two ends together. This part I find is easier to do not on the form because you know your yarn will stretch and everything. So I would rather just sew this part together holding it like this, and then we'll put it on the foam and then we can do the side, you know, join it together. So what we're going to do is we're just going to line up. We had a chain to begin with and then we had a stitch, so we're just going to go from one side to the next and we're going to sew this across. This is going to make a little seam, and this seam you can hide it where your turkey is, and that, you know, if you don't like how it looks, you know what I mean, it's okay, you don't have to see it. So we're just going to keep going back and forth from side to side. I'm hoping you can see this. It's kind of bulky and I'm trying to keep it in the screen here. I'm picking up the stitch on this left side. The right side, it was a chain. So I'm kind of going in just a little bit into the work on that side. See what I mean? I'm kind of going in there a little bit because I don't want the chain to pull too much. So I have the stitch here and then I'm going across and I'm kind of grabbing inside a little bit, not the chain right on the end there. Okay. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth with this, with each stitch and my giant tail that I have here. Oh boy. I mean, it shouldn't take too long. Your goal is just that it's even on both sides. You know what I mean? So when you get to the end, they reach up together because we don't want it to be we don't want it to be crooked, right? Okay, so we're going to keep going with sewing this back and forth. And I'm doing each stitch and pulling it through just because my tail is so long. I don't want to have a big old knot here. Like I probably could just shoot right across and do the whole thing, but I'm afraid I end up with a giant knot. Okay, so I don't know, you know, everybody has a different foam form. So if yours was larger, you may have had more rows. I'm just curious, like I did 115. I'm sure y'all were right there about the same. But I was just curious how everybody did with that. It was not hard crocheting, it's just a lot, isn't it? A lot you know, and you want to keep up with it, and you want to know how many rows you've done. So, but like I said, that's a nice project for parking in front of the TV, or when you're traveling and you just need something to do, keep your hands busy, right? Okay, keep going with this until you get to the end, and we'll put it on our foam form there, and then we'll work on connecting the whole piece. All right, here we go. Okay, I am done. I'm at the end. I've got a nice seam. Now I'm going to take it, and you can use this side if you like how it looks better on this side, or this side. It doesn't matter, because like I said, I was gonna put the turkey near the seam so you won't see it anyway. So, you know, either way, whatever you prefer, not a problem. Now, get your little form, and this is gonna be the hard part, and I'm going to try to zoom out. So just give me a second here. Okay, hopefully we don't have too much jostling of the camera. Okay, so we're gonna take this and we're gonna put it around our form. Nice and snug and tight. Oh, look at that, it's fitting in there perfectly. Okay, so our goal now is to sew this together all the way around, okay? So if you wanna turn it a little bit, so you know, so your seam's kind of on the outside a little bit like this. That way it'll be easier for you to hold on to. Tuck in your tail. That was our tail from the very beginning there, right? Tuck that in there so you don't have to worry about it. And you're gonna do the same thing. Let me give myself situated here on the big old tail. You're gonna do the same thing just like you did with the end. We're gonna hold it nice and tight together, and we're just gonna go across and from one side to the other. So I'm gonna go back in the side that I'm already in, and then I'm going to go across to the other side, grabbing that, and I'm just going to sew back and forth without knots. This is the difficulties of having the long tail. This is what I was saying. Sometimes you get these nice little knots. Okay, so I'm trying desperately not to hit the camera. Whew, okay, here we go. So we're gonna go from one side to the next. All right, and we're just gonna keep going around until we complete this whole thing. But we want to try to get, see, they're not stitches, right? They're the end of our work on each row that we did. So you're just gonna go in and grab whatever you can, but then trying to make it even on the other side. And I think by holding it tight on the form like this, it helps you to see if you're even, so that, you know, each side matches. Okay, so we're just gonna keep going along like this. Again, it's the back of your wreath. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you probably, if you wanted to, maybe you don't like to sew. Not everybody does. And it's a bit time consuming, but maybe you wanna just hot glue it. You could do that. I mean, that's not a problem. If you wanted to go through and hot glue this, you can stitch it however you want. You could even single crochet it together, you know, join it with your crochet hook and yarn. I mean, you could do anything. So don't feel like you have to do it exactly the way I do. I'm just demonstrating here and trying to help everybody out just to get it together here, okay? So you do what works best for you. If you're like, oh, I do not have the patience to do that, that's okay. It's okay. All right, so just keep going. We're gonna get this all closed up, and then we'll be set. I'm gonna meet you at the end here to join everything, and we'll move on from there. Hang on, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, when you get back to the beginning, I do like to go over this section just a little bit, because remember we had that seam there, okay? And we just want to make sure that nothing is going to come apart. And then we're going to give it a good little knot, and we're going to tuck it in, okay? So how did you do? Did you do okay? get it all secure. So I'm gonna give it a knot here. I had more tail than I needed, as always, right? So I don't know, I get this fear that I'm gonna run out. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a little knot. I'm gonna secure it, then I'm just gonna take my yarn needle, gonna go inside the work, and just pull it through. All right, we're gonna cut it off right there. Give it a little tug and then cut it, and it'll go right inside your work there. Okay, so it made a little bit of a seam. That's okay because it's the back side, right? And the front looks nice and smooth, and it's neat and consistent, at least for a back side, right? Not a problem. Okay, so this is what we have. Your foam is all covered. This is the back, you know, the structure of your wreath. We'll be making our turkey with his feathers and everything, but we got this part done. And this is actually a big part because that was a lot of rows of work. You did a great job. Now you've got it all on there. It's all set. So now we just get to make all the little fun pieces and put it all together. So this was a big portion, all nice and done. So keep going. If you're still sewing, no big deal. Just get it all wrapped up, ready to go. And we'll meet up next time. We'll get going working on the rest of our wreath. I'll see you then. Thank you and have a joyful day.